So, I'm on the plane coming from back from Dallas, and I'm just sitting in sitting there thinking about shit because, of course, I can't do any writing because the guy in front of me has a broken leg and he's has to lean back and the tragedy of being still fat. I have at least 60 more pounds to lose. Is that it's virtually impossible to open a laptop on one of those tray tables without it sticking to your belly so close that the lid pops down and you can't see the screen anyway. So just it's a tragedy. Um, so that's the case. So I'm handwriting everything, and as I'm sitting there, I'm writing out some scene stuff, but I get this idea in my head, and this is kind of where things that end up in the books come from. Is that every time someone passed me, they it never failed. They had to brush my arm. They had to brush my arm, and then I started thinking, well, what if all these people who are constantly getting up and down out of their seats and walking up and down the aisle, what if they're all frotteurists? And I don't know if you know what a frotterist is, but we had one when I was going to University of Washington. There was a frotterist alert on campus, and these were guys. It was a guy this in this particular instance who would walk through crowds, like particularly if when classes were getting out and the quad would get really full of people. This guy would move through the crowds and brush up against them just lightly. He loved that. That was one of his things, and that's how he got off. Just totally got aroused that way, and then I don't know. Then went to the library. We had a lot of library masturbators, and he must have just went back in the stacks, squeezed off a few rounds into a Shakespeare anthology or whatever the hell was back there, and then was on his way. We also had a guy, and this is like an elevated sense of frauderism, that would make little tiny cuts on people. So he would be walking along, anything, like almost a little tiny thin razor blade. He wouldn't go deep, just enough to get a little scratch out of him. And that was what got him off. And then I don't know what he did with the razor blade. He probably like sucked on it or something while he jerked off. I don't know. Something sick like that. But anyway, so frauderism. So then I started thinking, and then this line got into my head that the aisle seats, maybe it was the people in the aisle seats. Like, wouldn't that be a perfect place if you were a frauderist? Like if I were a frauderist? And so this whole time I'm talking to you about this and saying that those people are, they're into it. What if it were me? What if I'm intentionally leaning out into the aisle a little more than I should just so that I nick every single person that's going to the toilet? So, anyway. So then I wrote this sentence. It was just one single sentence from my trip, and it says, "The aisle seats belong to fraudeurists." And that's it. So that's going to end up in a book somewhere. So dibs, you can't have it. And that's today's vlog post. That's number one, by the way. Number one. Anyway, till next time.